Good after tea. All right. If you have taken your tea, please settle down. I request the multimedia team to put up our next presentation. Our presenter is already up on stage. And by the way, for those who are using Wi-Fi, we have the Wi-Fi from the hotel, and we also have Renew, which has provided for us Wi-Fi. On the left side, we have a flip chart, which has the code that you can use to access the Wi-Fi, just in case you haven't done so. Otherwise, may I request the multimedia team to put up the presentation so that we can start the next session. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me seek your indulgence. I think we can carry on even as we are served our tea. Just make sure you reduce the clanking of the cutlery so that we move ahead to redeem time. So I'm going to invite our next speaker. He will introduce himself and we will proceed with the session. Welcome, Victor.
And to start, as Ren, we are privileged to have this opportunity to be at this forum and to showcase what we have done. And today we'll discuss about greening the internet. But first, for all the participants who have been able to come, and from whichever backgrounds that we come from, we are happy that everyone is taking a step to make sure that we make the world a better place and pioneering different things here and there. This is it's a good thing, and we are proud to be part of the journey. We thank EAIGF for the opportunity to provide different services, one being internet connectivity for this conference. And for now, allow me to proceed to the presentation. And just the outline of what we'll discuss in the next 10 or so minutes. One, we'll talk about the NREN space, and that is where Research and Education Network for Uganda falls. Then we'll go to our main stuff or main discussion point, which is greening the internet, the role of solar-powered routers. We have a small case study, and then the benefits for the multi-stakeholder digital development. And that will speak to the theme for this event. And then call to action. So the NREN space. I brief from the different countries that we come from or different areas. We have the different national research and education networks. And these are in to make sure that they allow for collaboration between the different research and education institutions in the different countries. In Uganda, it's RENU. In Kenya, it's Kenneth. Tanzania has one, TENET. Somalia has Somaliren. Burundi has, Rwanda has, and also DRC. And we all come together to make sure that we unite the different research and education institutions in our countries for the common goal of improving research and education collaboration. So still about the NREN space. Initially, the challenge for the research and education institutions was reliable and affordable connectivity. This is one of the things that has been talked about by our panelists who were here before. But then, that was the challenge. One of the ways to make sure that that is resolved and solved, connectivity, or what we can call internet access, had to be dealt with a strong hand. And we are sure that for the research and education institutions in Uganda, RENU has taken a great step to make sure that these institutions have internet connectivity. But internet connectivity is just a means to an end. The end is about having access to resources, improved methods, and improved collaboration across our research and education institutions. And that speaks to the high quality of education and research in the different countries where we come from. And I have a small photo here. And one of the words in the background is, internet is for everyone. We believe that in the current digital world, in the current ever-evolving digital space, everyone is supposed to have internet connectivity. That when you have internet connectivity, your education quality will improve, your healthcare will improve, your environment monitoring will be on a greater hand, and also economic development, that we will have e-commerce startups everywhere, and they will be thriving in the environment and different countries that we are in. Still about the end-run space, we talk about connectivity. One of the things that the research and education networks had to come up with was a common, free, secure, and trusted internet connectivity means. And one of the things that came up at that time, and that is still up to now, is EduRoam. That as a researcher, I can move from one institution to another. As long as they have EduRoam, SSID at their campus, I can be able to connect. I don't need to ask for a password from the ICT administrators. I don't need to do any other thing. All I need are credentials from my research and education institutions, and with that, I can be able to connect. We are happy that in Uganda, whichever public hotspot that you go to, you're able to access EduRoam, and as a researcher and a scholar, you should be able to work at every point that you are. EduRoam is at the equator. For the participants who are not from Uganda, when you reach the equator, you can connect. If you haven't signed up or connected, our team can be able to help you on that. And for people who like moving around, we have our small dongles or Wi-Fi modems, if I can call it like that. We term them as EduRoam on the go. That if you're in your research field, if you have gone to whichever field that you're in, you have your Wi-Fi modem and it's giving you internet. Those are some of the services that RENU offers to its member institutions. So there are a couple of them, so we can have time to go through them behind after the presentation. So I get to this. We have talked about internet connectivity. We have talked about internet governance. We have talked about the digital divide or the digital gap. However, each and everything comes with advantages and disadvantages. Previously, the panelists, some of them hinted about some of the disadvantages that you find. Maybe people are using TikTok for some things that are not as they should be. But I will not go on the side of users. I will go on the side of the people maybe providing internet and all that. As a user is trying to use internet and all that, there are things that keep running in the background. Some of them are advantages, and some of them are disadvantages. And so, picked out one of them to discuss about today, and That's greening the internet. We believe that everything that we do currently as we move forward in our evolving digital world, having a sustainable and good environment is something that we can always talk about. And currently, net zero and carbonization or sustainability have increasingly become of an important topic to all of us. So we talk about ICT-related devices or the data centers or the gadgets that we use, they consume power and all that. And they end up generating around 5.9% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And this is something close to what the airline industry has or produces. And on the other hand, we noticed that 3.6% of the global electricity is consumed by our ICT sector. However, we also have the growing demand for data. The panelist from Meta was talking about having the different data sets so that they would train these different AI models for them to give us better results. And all that data and everything that goes back in the back end are the data centers, the cloud services, the streaming, and all that growing demand continues to increase the greenhouse gas emissions. Taking it to the East African base, we have rapid digitization going on, and then the current reliance on grid power or diesel generators for the remote areas in our different countries, mostly that don't have access to grid power. And so allow me to move forward to the role of solar-powered routers. The Huawei panelists hinted about the use of solar energy in some of the activities in the ICT sector or IT sector. And I believe this is one of the use cases or one of the devices that can help us to utilize our solar energy. And majorly to hint about the solar-powered routers, they use energy from the solar panels, and it's a comprehensive solution for providing internet everywhere. Ideal for every region, urban, rural areas, and even the remote areas in our different countries. About the advantages, we have reduction of carbon emissions, that we are running away from all the things that we have been using that generate the carbon emissions, and we go for reduction, hoping that at one point we will reach net zero. Then we talk about operation in off-grid areas, that as we continue to say that internet is for everyone, even the person deep down in our villages needs internet connectivity for them to thrive in the different areas or businesses that they are doing. So whether they don't have grid power, then they can still use these devices for their internet connectivity. We talk about cost efficiency, that in the long run, if you have or if you're using solar energy, in the long run, it's cost efficient. We talk about sustainability, which is more of making sure that we live in the green economy. Have a case study here. Being called upon as RENU, and you have to provide internet connectivity in whichever setup you're called upon. It's not something that is easy, depending on the areas where someone has gone. You might go to a remote area and you need connectivity. And here we have the solar-powered routers doing their job in a field, and this was an event. And RENU took part to make sure that it delivers internet connectivity using the solar-powered Wi-Fi routers. To hint, this area had no power, it had nothing, but the team was able to make sure that it sets up internet connectivity for all that. And this speaks to improved internet access for education, healthcare, economic development, environment monitoring, that even guys who are deploying sensors now and then in their environments, they need internet connectivity for their sensors. We talk about promotion of green energy, and this is one of, to continue on the case studies, that you're called somewhere deep in the village and you have to set up internet connectivity. Set up your solar-powered Wi-Fi device and then a few other things in configuration, and you'll be up and running. This takes us to the benefits to the multi-stakeholder digital development. That it's not a one-man's field of play, that is not one company or organization will achieve the best, but it speaks to all sectors. It speaks to the government sector, it speaks to the private sector, and it also speaks to the civil society. In the government, you're aligning with SDG 7. You're supporting digital inclusion in the different areas. In the private sector, you talk about reduced operational costs and business opportunities in production and installation. We are happy that these devices are being worked on in Uganda, and that gives us pride that even the employment increases. The people who are doing the installations for these devices, they also get a living out of that. But we also have, on the side of civil society, we talk about internet access and then community ownership. Then a call to action, because as our panelists were speaking in the last remarks, it's always an opportunity to make sure that we pinch ourselves and make sure that we do the different responsibilities as we try to make the world a better place. We invest in the support and rollout of green internet solutions. We work on policies that give incentives to the use of renewable energy in ICT infrastructure. This cuts across the civil society, the government, and also the different partner organizations that are pushing for all this. Using solar connectivity not only goes to the side of these solar-powered Wi-Fi routers, but even our data centers, that our data centers can be able to utilize the solar energy and we run away from the greenhouse gas emissions. And for now, that's my last slide. In case you want to reach out to Renu, those are some of the platforms that you can go to or be at the back. So for now, thank you, and we are happy that we have taken part at this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much for keeping time, Victor. Please join me here. Any questions for Victor? I would like to open up a round of Q&A for 5 minutes before we move to the next session. Yes, I can see Valerie, I can see Naza. Any other questions? Please introduce yourself even as you ask the question. May I request for a roving mic? Okay, sorry. Okay, we'll start with Valerie behind there, and then we'll have Naza ask their questions. Any other questions, or we close this round? National coordinators, be on standby.
Hello, Victor. Greetings, everyone. My name is Valerie Waswa from Kenya. I'm a data protection fellow at Kenya ICT Action Network, KICTANET. So my question is regarding the cost-benefit analysis of setting up the solar infrastructure vis-a-vis the normal electricity infrastructure. Is it cheaper or is it more expensive? And if so, how can governments come in terms of budgetary allocation to ensure that it offsets the cost of setting up this solar infrastructure to support solar-powered digital innovations, especially in rural communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. We'll have Naza. We can take the other question, then Victor can address both.
Yeah, thank you, Victor, for what you and your organizations are doing. My name is Naza Kirama from Tanzania, and I am the community network champion in Tanzania. We are trying to connect the unconnected, and my interest really is on the on connecting the rural populations, and I am already excited with the solutions that you have. My question is, number one, how, what is the cost implication in terms of the solar-powered router, and is it able to, at this point, if I am interested to connect a rural village, is it feasible for now? And I would like to have your contact before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you. Victor, you can take the questions.
Yes, thank you for the questions. And most of them are on the cost-benefit analysis. So this device currently goes for $1,800, and it's a whole compact solution that the device has its batteries within, with the solar panel and its mounting accessories. But speaking onto having or using solar energy in the different ICT sector departments, yes, we have to accept that when you're setting up all this in the first place, it tends to be a little bit expensive, if I can say like that. But in the long run, it's not expensive. That you can be able to install this system and it runs for even 5 years without you having to replace any other thing. So in that 5 years, compared to someone who's using a grid power, you have to pay for each and every unit that you use. Taking it in that aspect, then solar energy or the solar-powered routers are of great importance, and their cost-benefit analysis is good. Then from NASA, about yes, I think it was also it's also about the cost implication, but also about the rural village. That if you're to get this device from here and go to the rural area, or trying to connect the unconnected, does it work? Yes, it works. For the bigger discussion, we can discuss about the different ways of giving internet. Because for you to have a device give you internet, it has to have an internet source. So for those ones, as RENU, it's not a challenge to us that we have very many ways of having internet delivered to this device, and then it gives the end user's service. So I believe we can be able to discuss that after this in a technical way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Victor, even as he takes his seat. Thank you so much. At this point, I would like to call upon the national coordinators, and I'll start with Burundi to come and present their national reports. Apologies, I think I saw one hand, but the opportunity had passed. So I'll have you in the next round when we'll have a plenary. So we are going to receive national reports on the Internet Governance Forum. We'll start with Burundi. John Paul, kindly take the stage. Let's appreciate Burundi as they take the stage.
Good morning. Wasuzutya. Mwebale nnyo. So, thank you very much. We, in Burundi, we have organized our 2024 National IGF. It was on 30th of April. It was in Bujumbura, of course, the economic capital of Burundi. The overarching theme was promoting access to an affordable internet for all Burundians, which is a lever for an inclusive information society. We had 35 participants on site and around 20 participants online. Among partners, we had the Ministry in charge of ICT in Burundi, the Internet Society, the Global Internet Society, CBINet, which is an internet service provider, AfriRegister, MediaBox, and even civil society organizations such as the Association of ICT Service Consumers called ACOTIC. So it was officially opened by the representative of the minister, the PS at the Ministry of Information and Technology and Media in Burundi. Anyone? No one is projecting? No? I think I can go on. Yeah. The program, at the program we have got an introductory panel where we explained the background, the guiding principles, regional and national initiatives, and also about the 2024 Global IGF process. We had 2 panels and 2 short presentations. So as you have understood, we focused most on affordability of internet in Burundi. So Burundi, we have good infrastructure, fiber optic infrastructure. For our country is not such large, but we have around more than 5,000 kilometers of fiber optic. We have 2 fiber optic operators such as Vietel, BBS, and we have government network called MAN, Metropolitan Area Network, and all the 18 provinces of Burundi are covered. However, we have challenges. Among challenges, we still have the internet penetration of Burundi officially is now at 22%, and we have also energy shortages for internet service providers are most of the time obliged to switch off their transmitters, which has an impact on the end users. As soon as the power goes off, we lose connectivity, and the other problem is that they are obliged to use oil, and which oil now we have a serious shortage of oils in Burundi, what is a very big problem. So I was following the previous presenter. I think we have also invited, in the recommendation, we have invited the operators to switch to solar energy as if possible. Let me move to a recommendation, as we have very short time to present. So, main recommendations are to the organizers of IGF Burundi. We have been tasked to strengthen capacity for local communities in the field of internet governance, including youth, members of parliament, women, etc. This to allow meaningful participation in the internet governance ecosystem. And the good news is that after we had our IGF, we have made an agreement with the Internet Society, the Global Foundation, and we are now launching soon an online training for the Burundian community. To the government, the recommendation was to faster adoption of national regulatory texts around digital technology. And there also we have good news. The electronic communication code has been adopted a few months after, as on 22nd August 2024. The law was signed by the President of the Republic. This law covers the domains such as e-commerce, e-government, etc. And second recommendation was the keeping the issues of ICT at the top national agenda, because in Burundi we have a development agenda to achieve by 2024 and by 2040 and 2060, and we are convinced that we can't achieve this agenda without a good internet penetration rate. For the Burundian telecommunication regulation, for the Burundian Telecommunication Regulation Authority, we recommended to raise operator awareness on infrastructure sharing and to collaborate with telecommunication operator in advocacy for the government to give them priority while distributing oil and other energy sources. Telecommunication operators were recommended to work together to import more internet capacity in order to take advantage of sliding scale-down effects, whereby the unit costs decreases when more capacity is purchased abroad. And also, we have recommended them to switch to solar energy to power their transmitters. To the government and telecommunication operator together, we recommended to conduct a feasibility study on how population with middle income revenue could obtain needed tools for internet at home by paying in many installments instead of paying at once, because this infrastructure is very expensive for the common user. To other stakeholders in Burundi, and especially for the youth, we recommended them to inform themselves and participate even on volunteering basis in the work of the bodies of the internet governance ecosystem when possible. You know, there are ICANN, ITF, so we wanted them to get engaged in the work of this institution as possible. This is what we have done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John Paul. I would like to invite DRC, Asen. Kindly keep it short and to the point.
Hello everyone, bonjour à tous. Mon nom c'est Arsène, so my name is Arsène Tungali, and I represent the DRC National IGF Committee, Organizing Committee. So we had our National IGF during the week of June 5th to 7 in Kinshasa, and our main theme was digital inclusion in the DRC, challenges and perspectives. Probably we are not projecting, so I'll just go ahead. So on the 5th of June, we had our second edition of the School on Internet Governance that's brought together mostly young people, for which it was the first time to hear about internet governance. But it started with a one-week online course with the support of Internet Society. And then we had a physical gathering in Kinshasa on June 5th. And we were discussing building the internet of our dreams with the new generation of leaders. That was the theme for the second edition of the School on Internet Governance in the DRC. Sorry, there's no projections, but we had prepared pictures to give you an idea about what happened. But on the second day, that is on June 6th, we had our second edition of the Youth IGF in the DRC. And we had a very good turnaround of young people discussing internet governance matters. And so on the last day, this is June 7th, we had our fourth edition of the DRC National IGF under the main theme, Digital Inclusion in the DRC, Challenges and Perspectives. So for the fourth time, we've been having the National IGF in the DRC, starting in 2017 in Kinshasa, then 2019 in Goma, 2023 in Kinshasa, and then 2024 in Kinshasa. So that's all I have for you as a report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asen, for being brief and to the point. I will invite Kenya. Rosemary.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rosemary Koech Kimwatu from Kenya, the chair of the multi-advisory group that organized the Kenya Internet Governance Forum. So our Internet Governance Forum was held in a very interesting context of digital rights. And for the first time, I think, in history, we had an unprecedented move of having to postpone. So we eventually held it on the 1st of August 2024. And among the key things that about the Kenyan Internet Governance Forum, it's not just a one-day event. We have initiatives that lead to the development and growth of the internet governance space. Key of those is the Kenya School of Internet Governance, which was held between the 7th of June to the 27th of June, and led by our principal, who's right here, Barack Otieno, where we build new voices on internet governance. On the sidelines of that, we also had the Youth Internet Governance Forum, led by our very own Keith Andere, which then also helps promote, and we have a number of representations, we even made it here today. In terms of the School of Internet Governance, we had 727 participants, an acceptance rate of about 10%, with 69 completing, and female students had the highest completion. Yes, ladies, well done. In terms of the IGF, the key issues we had were emphasis on collaborations between government, civil society, private sector, and shaping the digital landscape. In terms of internet connectivity, the key issues were in terms of infrastructure development, affordable access, and just making sure that as a nation we're ready for the next waves of technology that are coming up. In terms of threats to cybersecurity, it was noted that there's a need for robust measures to protect personal data and critical infrastructure, as we as a country get to interact with a lot of technology and even have higher advancement. There was also an emphasis on the importance of protecting human rights, freedoms in the digital age, including freedom of expression and access to information. Critically also, the need for involvement of young people on internet governance, safety, and also the need for inclusion of differently abled individuals. In terms of the 4 key baskets that we had, of course, harnessing innovation and balancing risks in the digital space, enhancing digital contribution to peace, development, and sustainability, advancing human rights and inclusion in the digital age, and finally, improving digital governance for the internet we want. And what was the outcome? We were able to foster collaboration among stakeholders. Just like this meeting today, we brought together stakeholders from various sections, and I think we've seen over the years an advancement in growth, in collaboration, as a result of the melting point of ideas that happens during the Kenya IGF. We also had policy recommendations for strengthening Kenyan internet governance framework and the emerging challenges, where we were able to put our leaders to task regarding what we see as the next best thing for the internet we want. Then, of course, capacity building and knowledge sharing through the IGF process, but also critically through the Kenya School of Internet Governance. And we also had a children's IGF. I think we're the only country that actually hosts children's IGF. And this was hosted in a primary school in Nanyuki. And usually what we have is in decentralized parts of the country, so that we create initiatives for small children to actually engage with us and let us know about what they want in terms of the internet engagement. And you'll be surprised. They have very practical examples and even ideas. So that's it from Kenya, and looking forward to greater collaborations. In my profession, we say I hand over the next few minutes to the next speaker.
Thank you. We'll have Rwanda. A round of applause for Rosemary. We'll have Rwanda. Grace.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here just to share about some insight that came from the Rwanda Internet Governance Forum that took place last week in Kigali on 5th September. So the event brought together different stakeholders from different groups, including government, academia, the techie community, the private sector, and civil society. So the event was graced by our Minister of ICT and Innovation, Madame Paula, but as well we had an opportunity to have in the room the UN coordinator, Dr. Ozonia Ojielo. So the forum had around 3 panels with experts that discussed on artificial intelligence ethics and governance, but we had as well the data governance in Rwanda, which was a good panel with so many interventions, and lastly, the cybersecurity and trust. So some of the key outcomes that came from the meeting include the forum emphasized the need for Rwanda to develop a robust AI ethics and governance framework. Stakeholders as well agreed that AI technologies should be designed and deployed in a ways that ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability. So the forum highlighted as well the need for policies that encourage innovation while maintaining public safety and security. So the people who were in the room believe that organizations and businesses should be encouraged to adopt our data privacy law to protect users' privacy throughout the data lifecycle. And lastly, So we believe that strengthening a partnership between government, private sector, academia, technical expert is key to create solutions for internet-related challenges. So before I close, we were pleased to have launched our first School of IGF that was attended by around 50 participants. And this, the slides are now on. I think that's the last slide. Yeah. So we had around 50 participants that you can see on the screen. So they got their certificate at the end. And they got as well an opportunity to attend during the national event. And we hope to continue with more in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rwanda. Next, I would like to invite Tanzania. As Tanzania comes, South Sudan, be on the standby. We'll close the session with Uganda.
Okay, good. Is it afternoon already? Good morning. My name is Naza Nicholas Kirama. I am from Tanzania and Jabaleko. I don't know if I got it right, but I'm learning. We had our 11th edition of Tanzania Internet Governance Forum. It was preceded by the 3rd edition of Tanzania School of Internet Governance. Like you can see on the front of my presentation, we had it for about 62 people. Next slide. So we had 2 activities, like I said, Tanzania Internet Governance Forum and the Tanzania School of Internet Governance. Next. So as you can be able to see, I think I'm being, I can't be able to see, yes, this side. Like you can see on the Tanzania School on Internet Governance, we took seriously the issue of seeing who was participating in terms of segregating numbers, male and female. So you can see in our SIG, we had a digital gender gap of about 4.6%. And you will see next that we will continue to do some work to engage more ladies. Next. On Tanzania IGF, we had a total of 92 participants. And the gender gap was around 19%. And for both, we will do more intersectional activities next year to ensure that we reduce the gender gap. Next. So this was participation by age. You can see in terms of percentage, the young people between the age of 18 to 35, they were about 30%. Sorry, this is the stakeholder engagement. No, this is, I think it's a confusion. It's the 30% is the Gen Z participation. They had a lion's share of participation. Next. Stakeholder engagement. We had, as you can be able to see, that was we had all the key stakeholders government, academia, technical community, private sector, as well as civil society. Next slide. On our menu of discussion, we had about 3 panels on AI and emerging technology. We had, the second one was on human rights online. And also we had the internet governance and its role in building Tanzania's multi-stakeholder digital future. And we had about 5 presentations on actually its role, and also we had a presentation on privacy and data protection, Tanzania Digital Economy Strategic Framework 2024-2034. Also, we had a very important presentation on digital accessibility, in terms of new and innovative technologies for people with disability. And the last one was the IGF 2024 in Riyadh. So these, you can see these were the photos, various photos of our IGF. Those are the participants. Next. You can browse through the photos. These are our panelists that were discussing all these key topics on the panels. Next. These are all participants. Asante, thank you, and we look forward to the 12th edition next year. And we would like to invite each one of us to participate in Tanzania Internet Governance Forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Naza. Stephen, if we can have South Sudan.
Good afternoon. My name is Ongwech Stephen, the National Coordinator for the South Sudan Internet Governance Forum. We had our national IGF actually last Friday, so we are still polishing our report. So what I'm going to do is to give you highlights of the session that we have undertaken during our IGF forum. The IGF was held under the theme of building our multi-stakeholder digital future in South Sudan. As you can see, it's aligned to the regional IGF team and the global IGF team as well. The main focus was, as from the theme itself, is building the multi-stakeholder digital future in South Sudan. And actually, this IGF came at a crucial time that the South Sudan is, the Republic of South Sudan is actually developing its national digital transformation strategy. We didn't have one before, but we did have a national development strategy which highlighted ICT as an important pillar for the socio-economic development. But nevertheless, with the support of ITU, as we speak today, from actually 11th, 12th, and the 13th, a workshop is happening right now in Juba, validation workshop of the National Digital Transformation Strategy. So we spoke a lot on the importance of stakeholder collaboration and engagement. The forum had 2 moderated plenary sessions and 2 panel discussions, talking mainly about good internet governance and internet and good governance with regard to misinformation, disinformation, and access to information. And also digital content and community standards. We realize that our population do have access to all the social media platforms, but when it comes to regulation, content regulation, and moderation, we don't have community standards. So the forum discussed and explored ways on how to work on having community standards that address ethics and things to do with content moderation in the context of South Sudan. We also explored things to do with capacity building for emerging technologies, including AI, Previous session talked heavily about we Africans, we are already adopting these technologies, and the world is not waiting for us. So it is high time for us to start discussing such emerging technologies on how to regulate them and how to innovate and use them rather than block them. There was a session also about digital disparities. We all know the digital gender divide is a global issue, and in Africa specifically. I'm glad Kenya is doing well. They have, in the School of Internet, they were able to achieve more than 50% of ladies completing the 90%. Wow, then we need to work on how to empower our boys now. Not but nevertheless, we are also working on the same. So that session explored things to do with how we can include more females. And actually, the government is working towards that. The National Communication Authority has different initiatives on how to empower young girls and how to motivate them to take careers in STEM, especially engineering, science, and technology. Because we, in our context, I know it's in Africa as well, but in South Sudan, such courses are most, dominated by boys or by males. So parents used to say, you go do engineering, the ladies are mostly, where they are considered to go, which is in most cases, sorry, not the case. So we are also exploring ways on how to counter such narratives, which are not healthy for our communities. The way forward is to collaborate more in order to create a stronger digital future for South Sudan and in the region and globally. And this can only be achieved by stakeholders working together, knowing that we complement each other's works, coming from private sector, government, and academia. We all play a role, government as policymakers and regulators, academia as those who are, imparting knowledge and working on those regulations to ensure that they are matching the knowledge which is in place, and also the private sector being them the driving force of the economy. We also worked on the commitment to closing the digital divide and ensuring equitable internet access. That will mark the end of my remarks in the interest of time. Thank you, Barack.
Thank you very much. And finally, Uganda IGF. Let's appreciate her as she comes. After this, we'll be having breakout sessions, and we'll give you guidance on how to go about it.
Thank you very much, Barack. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll stand on existing protocol. My name is Maureen Agena, and I'm a technologist with very keen interest on assistive technologies. And at ISOC, I support with partnerships and engagements, and I've been part of supporting the preparation for this event. So regarding the National IGF for Uganda, we hosted it, the 13th edition of the IGF, on the 2nd of August. And it was at Protea Hotel in Kampala. And this IGF was a culmination of week-long activities that included, of course, learning and building consensus about issues, internet governance, and the digital future. And the theme, just like other presenters have mentioned, mirrored the global theme for this IGF, which is building our multi-stakeholder digital future. And this was localized for Uganda. So these discussions, of course, focused on understanding the global, regional, and national trends of the internet governance agenda. And just to briefly highlight the activities that led to the Uganda National Internet Governance, the first was the Uganda School of Internet Governance, which targeted mainly policymakers, some of whom are here, members of parliament, law enforcement officers, especially police, academia, and it happened over a period of 1 month in partnership with the AUC, and there was a 3-day physical training. I mean, so many of the members will definitely share their testimonies in future of how beneficial that was. And then we had the Youth Internet Governance Forum, which targeted young men and women below the age of 30. And we have a team at the back, very hands-on colleagues who managed this. It took place on 31st July, and it was hosted at the National Hub, that is a space for the government of Uganda through the Ministry of ICT. And then we had the inaugural Uganda Parliamentary Internet Governance Forum, which was a very big milestone because it brought together members of parliament, and we're very happy that the head of the ICT committee of the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda made time to attend. And we discussed very pertinent issues on policy and taxation and so many things about the internet. And that happened on the 1st August. And eventually we had the national IGF, which brought together government, members of parliament again, internet service providers, and of course end users. It was a one-day event, and we had about 150 participants who were actually overwhelmed. But we are happy to see a very big number like that because it speaks to the work that ISOC is doing and the interest that people have in issues governance. And at this point, I really want to thank the partners who came on board and supported, especially our mother ministry, the Ministry of ICT, other institutions like Policy, Enable, CIPESA, ACME, and all these institutions. We really appreciate that support. And also just to mention that we worked with the Uganda Association of Sign Language Interpreters, as you can see, the intentional focus on inclusion to deliver this. We had the report on the Youth Internet Governance Forum presented, and he shared that some of the key highlights and why it's important to have young people invested and interested in internet governance. We had a high-level panel like the one we had here this morning, and it focused on the theme of the event, and one of the key outcomes was the agreement on localization of policies across different regions of Uganda to allow citizens to actively participate. And there was a specific call to the Internet Society of Uganda to consider organizing a session with Parliamentary Commission on Legal Affairs to reduce on value-added tax and excise duty on internet costs. If you've been following the trends around internet discussions in Uganda, I'm sure you know about the bills that have been in Parliament and the blockages we have had for social media and the taxes for third-party internet service providers. And so we had a number of panels on data justice, empowering women, where people shared skills on digital identities, a lightning talk on artificial intelligence, and one on promoting economic empowerment of women. And of course, finally, on securing inclusive digital economies for the future of work. And just to say thanks to the team that works tirelessly in the background, and to also inform you that a report will be made available to this effect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maureen. She deserves a round of applause for keeping time and also closing this session for us. So ladies and gentlemen, a lot of interesting things happening in our respective countries, and thanks to you who attend this fora. I think the future is bright for East Africa. Shortly, we'll be transitioning to our breakout sessions. I understand that the breakout rooms are upstairs. If you check the agenda, or if you on our program, we have the first session on digital hustle, how East Africa's youth are innovating, disrupting, and thriving in the tech era. We have another session on inclusive artificial intelligence governance, enhancing human rights and ethical development in East Africa. And we have the Green Tech Revolution, multi-stakeholderism for sustainable climate action taking place as well. So I request that we get guidance on which rooms. May we have the roving mics? Let's be on our feet as we wait for guidance. Mr. Naza, you are the king of entertainment. Can you take us through
Thank
an
you,
exercise?
Barak.
Yes.
In the interest of time, we have 3 sessions that we're supposed to have started at midday. So in this room, we have the inclusive AI and governance. The digital hustle is in Addis room hall, which is, if you go upstairs, it's on your side, on this side. And the green tech revolution, this is the session. Yeah, the green tech revolution is Choga, which is this side. So both rooms are upstairs. You take the upstairs. Addis hall is this side. Choga is this side, and this is the Victoria hall. We should be coming back here at 2. So we are hoping that we should have some extra minutes. We are going to buy some time into the lunch. And we should be able to break off for lunch at 1:30 and come back at 2:30. Latest to create time for the sessions after lunch. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's be on our feet so that we move to the rooms as guided. All right, the moderators of the session that is taking place in this room, please, you may take the stage. The rest of us, let's move to our respective rooms. So, digital hustle, please move to Addis Ababa. Session leaders, kindly take over as appropriate and be mindful of time.
Sessions are starting in Addis and Choga, so if you're part of that, please, in the interest of time, they're already starting. And here we welcome our panelists to take their seats. Sessions up, on the move.
Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Habari ya mchana. I think we are now ready to start our session, just so that we save on time. I believe that everyone that is seated here is in for the Inclusive AI Governance session. My name is Muthuri Kathure. I work with Mozilla and I will be moderating this session. Allow me to invite my very esteemed panelists. I'll start with Tricia Gloria Nabaye from Uganda. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes to the stage. Tricia. Karibu. The second panelist is Angela Minayo from Kenya. Angela. Okay. We'll wait for her. And finally, Louis Gitinywa from Rwanda. I'm assuming Angela is somewhere in this hall or somewhere outside, but she should be joining us very soon. There she is. So we're going to have an interesting and interactive conversation around inclusive AI governance. One of the things that we see is that most conversation around tech-related governance are left to a few people to discuss. And like most governance processes, we realize it's a few of us in this room, the legislators mostly, sometimes forgetting the developers and the rest. So in this panel, we're going to ask ourselves a couple of questions. Is it possible to have inclusivity when it comes to AI governance? Is it possible to have human rights consideration when we're talking about AI?
Tech is deployed and how it interacts with freedom of expression and access to information.
Thank you, Angela. It's always a pleasure to be with you in panels around the world.
Hello, my name is Tricia Gloria Nabaye. I'm the Advocacy and Engagement Lead at Policy. Policy is with a double L. It's a collective of, data enthusiasts and technocrats. A policy key for my work is making sure that I advance, the work that we do around AI governance, data governance, and data products. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. I'll start this conversation with you, Angela. Working with Article 19, an organization that is well known for promoting freedom of expression, human rights, etc. And my question would be, are there any specific human rights consideration that we should be having when it comes to AI governance? And looking at the conversation that you're having around inclusivity, what are some of those considerations just beyond including inclusivity and any other that we should have when it comes to AI governance rights in the region? And if you have any specific examples to it.
Thank you so much. So I'll tackle your question in two ways. First, I'll talk about the developers and the human rights frameworks that are already existing that they should be trying to comply with. And then I'll talk about general freedom of expression and how that interacts when AI is being deployed. So I'll start with the corporate human rights responsibilities. So we have the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, and for a long time they were understood in the extractive sector, the labor issues, but we're also seeing how relevant this framework is for AI companies because it's giving them the roadmap of what human rights compliance will look like when we are talking about AI products and innovations. So you're thinking about the obligation to respect human rights. So doing human rights, due diligence, trying to test out, maybe using sandboxes and other experimentation designs to see how they can see human rights risks and how to mitigate them. So that is a very big pillar that AI companies can look at when coming with products. The other one is the human rights, the complaint hand mechanisms. So we have capable, efficient, practical, and reasonable access to remedy solutions.
There. And sometime when you sign those deals, you just put the aspect of accountability on sometime on the blind spot. I'm not saying that it was put on the blind spot, but I think there is still a lot of leeway given to those companies, especially in terms of taxation. How much did they pay? At least because they are operating in our country, they are testing a very expensive device, and we are the end users, and sometimes they are using our data. What's quid about the taxation? But also how our judiciary system is enabled to tackle those issues. And I think Angela rightly pointed out, do we need to go to take a flight to New York or to LA to challenge those companies? How does the Rwanda judiciary system is able to do that? I think this is the big question now. But also the second, and which is a very big question and thorny issues, is understand what's going on around AI. And does the government is doing its about how to empowering the citizen to be aware, at least to understand what they are right and how the AI policies are being implemented.
I totally agree with you. I'm one of those people who, anytime in a conference, I keep asking people, is this knowledge just a privilege for just us? After we leave these spaces, do we empower people with this knowledge? Do people understand, for example, now we're talking about AI, we still